And now, my friends, we're back in business with a very wooden showdown between the Wood Elves and the Skaven. It's going to be Dryka facing off against Throt the Unclean. Should be quite a bit of fun, and since we're always starting very close in this matchup because Wood Elves pretty much always want to rush Skaven, I'm going to go ahead and pause this bad boy so we can take a look at the armies. Now, in the front line, it's going to be all Dryads. Dryads, of course, are the quintessential anti-Skaven infantry unit. Skaven pretty much always have clan rats or Skaven slaves, just pretty much trash tier units right in the front. Not trash tier in terms of actually being a bad unit in the metagame or in a cost effectiveness sense, but low tier, lightly armored units that really Dryads are designed to kill. So we have all Dryads in the front line. The secondary line here is going to be quad Deepwood Scout. Deepwood Scouts, of course, are excellent against Skaven. They have stock, firstly, which is huge, because against Skaven, if you're having to advance on them and they have mortars and catapults and various other artillery pieces, they're oftentimes going to be focusing your archers, right? But with Deepwood Scouts, you can kind of creep up on someone, really get that good ambush, and make sure that they at least get some value before they get nuked by mortars or artillery or different things like that. So, and again, Deepwood Scouts do great damage against light armor, Hell Pit Abominations, Rat Ogres, Mutant Rat Ogres, Brood Horrors, even against basic Skaven Lords, they can do a little bit of sniping. Deepwood Scouts are definitely great in this matchup. Now, a couple other new units we have are the double Glade Riders with spears. We have one here and one on the far side, or actually one back here. And then we have 2 units of Wild Riders. Wild Riders have always been better than Stag Knights, in my opinion, in this matchup. They're, of course, a little bit cheaper, 400 gold less, and you don't need to pay for big armor piercing against Skaven. These guys can really do the trick for sure, and yeah, huge fan of them. Now, a big power combo in this matchup, in my opinion, for the Wood Elves, and I honestly would say that this Wood Elf build is definitely tournament worthy, is you bring a Dryka here, and you just get her with the Rouse to Wrath. You don't bring any spells, you just bring her as a cheap kind of Lord option that can fight the Skaven Lords, but more importantly can summon 2 units of the Malevolent Dryads in the back line. Then from there, for your caster, since you have such a cheap Lord, you can afford to bring someone like Ariel without kind of sacrificing the width of your army, and she's really powerful for sure. Apotheosis is quite nice. Soul Stealer is really good against Skaven blobs. Her healing with the Berry Wine is really nice, and she herself does cause terror, which is incredibly useful against Skaven, so definitely dig that. So for Hadri's build, he's got Clan Rat Spears in the front line. He does have Poison Wind Mortars. It looks like in total 2 of those bad boys. Throt the Unclean on foot with his Creature Catcher device. He, of course, can summon Rat Ogres and heal up his monsters. Skaven Slave Slingers, more Clan Rats in the back, and he does also have the Pit Fighters of Hell's Deep and the Morse Guitars Hellion. So it should be quite a bit of fun. Let's see how this battle unfolds. Hadri's going to be summoning some Clan Rats right out of the gates, the classic Skaven play, because in doing so, he can send them into my back line. He can really muck up my advance. Now the mortars are going to be coming in and doing some serious damage for sure, starting to pound into these Dryads, and now switching over to my Deepwood Scouts, which all they need to do is tickle the pickle and get a little bit of damage there to really pay for themselves. But we are returning fire. Going into the Poison Wind Mortar teams, the biggest thing though, of course, is to get Dryka in here, and he does have the Globadiers who do massive damage against infantry. So I need to get Dryka, summon some Dryads on top of these guys, and shut down both those units in a sweet 2-for-1 trade. In the middle, Ariel and the Dryads are able to break the Clan Vulcan to Tail Slashers almost instantly. Brutal stuff. And the Deepwood Scouts should be switching on to the Hell Pit Abomination in a moment. Shooting against the mortar teams probably isn't super cost effective, but assuming I couldn't get into his back line like I am right now, I wanted to start working on those units to at least get rid of them. On the flank, we do have Wild Riders and Glade Riders with Spears collapsing in. Dryka is doing a great job shutting down both these units with her Malevolent Dryads, who have also gotten some decent kills. And Ariel, the big angry Galadriel-esque fairy lady, is doing some battle with Throt the Unclean. Oh, it looks like they have like a sync animation or something there. That's kind of cool. Throt, of course, can do big damage against Ariel. He is an anti-large character, but, she's got Soul Stealer, and in this case, the Skaven do blob up with the Plague Priest and some Rat Ogres, of course, who were summoned on top of Throt the Unclean. So dropping a Soul Stealer here will definitely get some good value. In the back, Wild Riders have finally gotten in, and we'll be jumping onto the Poison Wind Mortars, and the other Wild Riders have surrounded Morse Guitar's Hellion and have done some good damage as well. The Hellion is a decent inclusion because, of course, the magic damage is a decent option against the Ethereal Stag Knights, who can be used in rush builds pretty effectively. But typically, in the beginning, I did think that the Ethereal Stag Knights were quite good. But the downside being, as you play games and face off against like Skrull, you'll notice that, Libra Bubonicus will just like one-shot your big scary Stag Knight there. In the back, Deepwood Scouts are pounding into the Hell Pit Abomination. This bad boy is going down very quickly against the focus fire of the Deepwood Scouts. Probably will be forced back, if not just break here, outright. And Ariel's in good shape as well. She's holding pretty well against Throt, although Throt does get a nice little attack right there, but she's doing her thing, and I have enough Winds of Magic probably for another Soul Stealer in a moment, so that should be fine. And Dryka here doing a great job, just cutting through these Poison Wind Globadiers and the mortar teams, and anything that does retreat away from the main center mass of the engagement. I've been able to use my cheap cav, like my Glade Riders and my Wild Riders, to really kind of chase those units off the battlefield, which has been very, very functional for sure. Deepwood Scouts still shooting and getting some decent work in there. The Clan Rats with spears, fighting the Dryads to the bitter end. And here comes the Morskatars Hellion with its nice little AoE. But Wild Riders do really exceptional damage against light armor. 46 weapon strength is no joke, especially considering they have a very high model count compared to like Great Stag Knights and things like that. So here is Dryka, a little bit surrounded by the pit fighters of Hell's Deep, the Helm's Deep Rats, and also by some of the Globadiers who haven't been able to get too much value this game. Those guys, of course, have been locked up. And the Deepwood Scouts are able to get away from some of the summons, but Hadri's has done an exceptional job chasing them down with Clan Rats and being very, very annoying in my backfield. So I've had to be constantly relocating those guys and trying to get away from the harassing Skaven forces that have been coming in. But aside from that, I don't think the Skaven have the mass in their army to really deal with Aerial at this point. And also, Dryka's in good shape, and there's still a fair amount of Dryads and missile units. And Wild Riders really running rampant over the battlefield, blocking down these elite Skaven units, which are being healed by the Remoldered, but I don't think it's going to be enough to save those bad boys. So that probably will be all she wrote for the Skaven. Dryka a little bit beat up now, but since she is beat up, she does go to her second tier of the Fanatical Devotion, so she is going to be giving plus 10 melee attack and plus 10, I believe, percent or base damage overall. I can't remember, but yeah, giving a nice buff to nearby units as the Morskatars Hellion is broken. There's the other Hydra summon, or Dryad summon as well. So well played. You know, Hadri's and I talked about after the game that had that been on a bigger map, I think it could have been a very different game. It was a small map, and Wood Elves have to rush there, but imagine if that was on like Blue Reach River, and I had to march through the mortar fire. I still think I would have had a decent chance because he brought Foot Throt. But generally speaking, it could have been a very, very stressful matchup, and I could have easily lost it. So this build is very map dependent. Like on medium, small maps, I think it's good. On large maps, you might want to rethink your tactics a little bit. But I really love the combo of Drycha and Aerial. They're very tough for the Skaven to stop and can do some serious work. And yeah, Hadri's is obviously experimenting with new units, so take it with a grain of salt, right? You know, Foot Throt is an experiment for sure, whereas going with someone proven like Skrulk or Deathmaster would have been able to karate chop Drycha and probably kill Aerial as well. So if he had gone with his typical Deathmaster, I could have even lost on this small map here. So, you know, just trying stuff out. But ultimately, I think the Wood Elf build was pretty good. And the Skaven build certainly had some teeth, with the exception, I think Foot Throt really didn't probably pay for himself too much here. And yeah, the Hellpit Abomination didn't either. So maybe just cut that bad boy. I'm not really sure, but yeah, we'll see. But yeah, something to look at. So this is going to be a 2-for-1. We have a couple, Hadri's and I had a lot of great battles, so this next battle here will be another one between us, which was quite a bit of fun. So we'll see you guys in that video in just a second. Well played as far as value accrued. Dryka didn't do too much, but Aerial did well. Deepwood Scouts got 894, 1,600, as well as that. Not too much on the Deepwood Scouts, but the Wild Riders seemed to do pretty decent. The Glade Riders, you know, just chased down chaff, basically. So it was pretty well split over the whole army. So, all right, guys, we'll see you in the next game. Well played, and yeah, cheers. So here we are with the second game, my friends. It's going to be Greenskins against the Skaven, and yeah, this is a matchup that since the DLC has come out, and even before that, obviously when not Clan Scar, but Clan Eshin came and they got the Poison Wind Mortars, I've really been struggling to crack the code on this matchup. It's been one I haven't had too much success with Greenskins, but in this case, I'm trying something a little bit different, going for just a wider, cheaper army. I'm not going as heavily into the Savage Orc Biggins, just going into Goblins and Goblin Archers and Chaff with some Squig Hoppers, hoping that the Squig Hoppers can perhaps counterplay the Wolf Rats, right? They have a bonus force infantry and can really, you know, potentially ride them down. I mean, they're a little bit slower, but we'll see how it goes. So front battle line is going to be Goblins, double Stone Troll as well to stop these Skaven contraptions, 4 Goblin Archers against the big monsters, Savage Orc Biggins as well with Spider Riders in the back, and the leadership kit is going to be Skarsnik, of course trying to rampage maybe some big Skaven targets like Packmasters or Plague Furnaces and use the Goblin Big Boss as well as the Giant River Troll Hag to potentially get some decent value. So we'll see how this game unfolds here, and that is pretty much my entire army. Very simple stuff. And now for Hadri's, the Dark Lord of the Skaven. Of course, Hadri's has won 2 faction wars in a row. Not in a row, but 2 faction wars in total with the Skaven. So we'll, of course, be having another faction war coming up relatively soon, and Hadri's will be representing the Skaven. So very scared to see his terrifying Skaven play in action once again. But he's got a Plague Furnace. Looks like it's going to be Lord Skrulk on the ground. Some Poison Wind Globes. He does have the Pit Fighters of Hell's Deep in the back. And I think a standard Hellpit Abomination. But really the big kind of inclusion here are the Wolf Rats. And just having the mobility to contest that open field, maybe chase something off, go after my archers. That is all like really huge stuff. And he does also have an artillery core of a Plague Claw Catapult and a Naked Zap Zap Cannon. So Catapult going into my poor Goblins here in the front. They're just getting Shrek'd horribly. I don't know what they did to deserve such a punishment. But I have hidden my Trolls as far back as I can in my army here. But the Stone Trolls, of course, will be getting targeted by that Warp Lightning Cannon, I would imagine. Or my other character might be River Troll Hag. She's certainly a very choice target as well. So seeing the Plague Furnace come up here, I do use They Need Stabbin'. And we'll see if we can get a little bit of Stabbin' here on the Plague Priest. And trying to get us around, I was like, oh, maybe I can get a little bit of you know, get around him, get like 30% HP damage off. But when I saw him react with the wolf rats, I was like, oh, that's right, Skaven are much swifter now. So the wolf rats come forward, the rat ogres, and also the globadiers threatening. I was like, I don't know how I feel about that engagement. So here the Night Goblin Squig Hopper is going to be jumping in, going after the wolf rats, but I didn't quite, you know, appreciate the pit fighters being this close. I was like, you know, I have archers here, I have some goblins. Let's go and see if we can get the wolf rats off the battlefield very quickly here. But even you can see, like on the impact of that, the Squig Hoppers actually do not take a very cost-effective trade. And I think that the 2 Squig Hoppers in a vacuum probably still would lose to these wolf rats. So a little bit of a learning lesson there, but we'll see how it goes. In the back, the rat summons finally kind of dissipated, and the frontline engagements have begun here. The 8-peak loonies have engaged, but now the Skaven Globadier is going to be going in and really tearing apart the 8-peak loonies, man, doing so much damage. So just trying to get my bearings and find a good angle of attack. I don't mind the 8-peak loonies being dragged down here because, you know, they're unbreakable at the very least. So I suppose if they're taking that damage, that's fine. So the goblins get here. We do break one wolf rat and do a little bit of damage to the next one, but it definitely was not worth the trade of the Squig Hoppers. And the Savage Orc Biggins, of course, much slower to get to that engagement. It's a little bit of an ugly fight, but yeah, the wolf rats aren't harassing my archers, so I suppose I can take that as a bit of a decent situation. So now in the front, pushing my trolls through the Skaven slaves, trying to get them on top of the globadiers and the mortars in the back to buy some time for my archers. And also on that same note, the goblin archers, oh my god, just getting pounded by the catapults, are shooting into the Helped Abomination and some of the other large threats of the Skaven. So hopefully we'll get some value there. In the meantime, my giant river troll hag has been getting constantly knocked over. I haven't been able to get in. Oh, really nice scourge there by Hadri's. Beautiful stuff. And also his clan rat summoned in the back has been able to shut down my archer line as my goblins do saturate in. But the stone trolls were able to kill the mortar team, which was good. But it wasn't quite enough because, you know, these bad boys cost 1,100 gold. So I need to get more value than that. So we're going to be hopefully getting them back as they do retreat. And, you know, I don't know, though. Skaven might be able to chase them down with the wolf rats. But now this is where the matchup changes, right? You have this constant mobile pressure coming in from the wolf rats as they feast on the souls of these poor goblins. Another really cool thing for those of you guys who are Greenskin players is that the Greenskins now have a sound effect when the WA is active, which it's like, yeah, it's like a war boss talking to you or something, which is really, really cool. But I do use my Spider Riders that I was keeping in reserve to engage the wolf rats. Granted, I don't know if they'll be able to stop them. Balance of power very much in the favor of Hadri's here, as his artillery is still shooting very effectively. I also did forget about my Jerked Squig Hoppers for quite some time. They're coming in now, but I honestly don't know if it would have made that big of a difference. But they're going to come in and try and shut down the artillery positions here in the back line. Stone Trolls moving in, going to be taking the Plague Priest to the club, trying to get some value with the River Troll Hag while I can. And if we can kill the Plague Priest, maybe there's going to be some hope for my infantry to get back in this game. Without the Mortis Engine effect, you know, the hordes of goblins and Savage Orcs could actually be very, very difficult for this Skaven to kill. Unfortunately, my Goblin Big Boss trapped by the Clan Vulcan Tail Slashers. I have no idea how that happened, but perhaps some conspiracy theory can explain that. So, Balance of Power is almost point of no return. It's looking real grimbones here, but we are going to be getting the Jerked Squig Hoppers around the back, and these glorious little Squig boys pushing through those Skaven slaves and clan rats here should be able to shut down the Ick and Zap Zap cannon, which is nice. Maybe it's going to buy some time for my trolls to come back. Greenskins can really experience this, where they have a massive fluctuation in the bounce of power, and then they can come back with their trolls and things like that. And also Lord Skrulk just beating down Skarsnik, which in a duel, Skrulk probably would definitely win with Liber Bubonicus and all that other witchcraft he has. He is definitely a terror. You can actually see Hadri's didn't bring the summoning spells on Skrulk. He brought it on the Plague Furnace instead, but this is actually a pretty good opportunity for us to beat down Skrulk. Skarsnik probably will come back, and I'm thinking we can probably turn on Skrulk here, surround him with some of the Stone Trolls, maybe get some other characters back and get some value here in the fourth and final quarter of this game. In the meantime, getting some good work done with the Jerked Squigs, able to bounce onto the Plague Claw Catapult, pulling back now, and just kind of rope and doping, going back and forth. We're going to be shutting down the Warp Lightning Cannon again, etc., etc. And Skrulk is trying to get away here, but there are a bunch of angry Savage Orcs coming in. Skarsnik making his way back in. I do also use the Fermented Fungi on Skarsnik, which will rampage him, keep him from running, or on Skrulk, excuse me. I'm really hoping for the best there. Savage Orcs, I thought about sending them into the Globadiers, but Hadri's, with a really good reaction from his Warp Grinders, is able to force me back. So I have to run at this point. I'm going to be running. I'm like, all right, where do I go? I'm just getting nuked by this magic damage, which is really good against Savage Orcs. But at the very least, you know, we're getting the consolation prize. We have done some okay damage to the Skaven army. The Plague Furnace is beat up. The Zap Cannon and the Plague Claw Catapults are both, of course, being shut down, but it's far too little, far too late. We needed to have those things shut down earlier, so I'm thinking that probably one of the best ways to play this matchup. You can see Skrulk here finally paying the troll toll, which is nice, but with the big Helped Abomination coming in with that stinky rat pimp slap, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do a whole lot, and yeah, you can see that's going to be army losses here, as the Globadiers and company just do so much work. Very well played. It's I haven't played Greenskins in a little while. I definitely need to kind of scheme on that matchup. I've really struggled with it. I have won it before, but it's something that has been very, very tricky, and I think I need to go back to the drawing board on that matchup, but As far as value goes, look at the Globadiers. Yeah, 1,700 gold. They paid for themselves 3 times over. His catapult did pretty good, but mainly shot goblins. Good value in the Warp Lightning Cannon. And the monsters all did their piece. But really, it was the Globadiers and just being dragged through the mud and Skrulk and, you know, all that. Just a combination of things. And, yeah, the Wolf Rats chasing stuff down. For my army, Savage Orcs, yeah, did not do very good. I think just cutting the elite infantry all together is a good idea. Because now Globadiers are better. The Poison Wind Mortars wreck them. I think just getting and forsaking the elite infantry is the way. Trolls did pretty terribly. I guess one of them did all right. I still think the stone trolls are necessary because if you do deal with doom wheels or like, you know, furnaces, it's good to have like a high mass unit. Squig Hoppers also weren't bad, honestly. I misplayed one of them pretty bad, so I can't, you know, blame that on them. It was my fault. But yeah, I really got to go back to the drawing board on this. So let's go ahead. Well played to Hadri's Ben, truly the Dark Lord of the Skaven. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this 2-for-1 video here. So if we go to the drawing board for the Greenskins, how can we crack the code on this matchup? I'm thinking like Azag could be really good, but Grom the Paunch is hard to snipe. And he could kill Skrulk or any Skaven foot characters. He can kill Deathmaster pretty effectively. I think he might be the... So we'll see. Grom the Paunch. We go with Orc Shaman. Do we want to... Oh, you know what? That could actually be something to consider. We could go like Goblin with the missile attacks here. And then we could go for Orc Shaman with some light missile play as well as like Brainbuster. That could be pretty strong to like goon out the Skaven characters and snipe their artillery stations. But aside from that, I think we need to go Vanguard, really. I don't know if Fanatics are necessary. Maybe just going for the basic variant. Like, I think you saw how the first game went, right? When my Wood Elves defeated the Skaven. We had a mass Vanguard. I think that's probably the way. Get a bunch of Squig Hoppers. We could Vanguard Archers, too. We could go with even Artillery. Do we want to get, like, Pump Wagons? Pump Wagons can't really be that fluid with the... maybe get, like, a Mobile Archer Corps that isn't as static against, like, Wolf Rats. But, yeah, with 4 Squig Hoppers, we should be able to defeat the Wolf Rats and things like that. Again, I don't know, like, if getting good infantry against Skaven is ever worth it. We don't really need Fanatics. It's not going to be useful for, like, Skaven Slaves and Clan Rats. Like, it just doesn't seem necessary. A couple Spider Riders probably isn't a bad idea. Do we want to get, like, a big Spider ourselves? That could be something to consider. Unfortunately, it doesn't have Vanguard deployment. Yeah, like, this could be good, but then it's going to get there so late for your Vanguard. How do we deal with, like, big furnaces and doom wheels and things like that if they do decide to go that route, too? That's something else we have to worry about here. Because this build certainly is lacking in that department. So we have our Archer Corps, which hopefully in the late game, the 4 Wolf Rider Archers would be able to kill, like, a Hell Pit or something just by, like, surrounding it. Do we want to bring, like, Fanatic Archers instead? That could be something to actually think about. Yeah, I do like the mobility of the Archers, though, but we have enough mobility, I guess. Do we just get Night Goblin Archers because they can Vanguard? I think 3 of them would probably be fine. But yeah, we do need something big to, like, take down the big threats, or at least keep them from just rampaging through our lines. Oh, man. But the Wolf Rider Archers are cool because, like, you don't have to protect as much, you know? Like, you could just, like kite with them. Like, if they come after you with Wolf Rats, you're more or less the same speed, and you can just kite them. We do have the chariots as well. We could get like the Teeth Robbers to try and like penetrate in. Again, it's all about just getting that good old kind of a deep dive in their lines. And then we need something big. Could bring like a Rogue Idol or something. That'd be so funny. Oh my god. I don't know. This is a pretty aggressive build. Unfortunately, Grom the Paunch doesn't have Vanguard, so you're going to have to be a little bit careful with your engagement. But yeah, I think some sort of like a mass pressure build like this is just the way to go. How are we going to kill Plague Furnaces? Okay, so maybe if they have a Doom Wheeler or a Furnace, we just get our 2 casters and the entire game we just focus them down and like try and snipe them with that. That probably wouldn't be bad. Probably just 1 Spider Rider. You know what? We don't even need the Spider Riders. With 4 Squig Hoppers, that's more than enough in that respect. Do we get a Giant? Is there any Trolls that have like Vanguard or anything? I'm just like theory crafting here, so bear with me, guys. Any Bacon Cav? We could mix in some Bacon Cav in the back as well. Could even get some artillery too. Like the artillery could sit back and what would that be shooting? The thing is, Wolf Rats exist now, so like you can't be as free flowing there. Like 1 Doom Diver could be okay, and then maybe we get a couple Pump Wagons to try and cause some disruption. How are we going to kill Rat Ogres? The Rat Ogres theoretically die to the Wolf Riders. We go for double Doom Diver. We cut 1 of our Fanatics here, and then we need something to stop the Wolf Rats from getting into our artillery in the back. Because that's a big investment, right? Although I think with 4 Squig Hoppers, like you should have more or less battlefield control, and we can get like some Wolf Riders too. Yes, maybe something like this. This could be pretty good. I'll give it a try and let you guys know how it goes. Cheers, my friends. Thank you for watching, and we will see you guys on the other side. Take care.